So settling in for today's meditation, as usual with any meditation, starting by checking with your body. Feel your body. Notice the condition of your body, how it feels. And make any little adjustments in your positioning that may be helpful. Because you want to try to sit for meditation in a way that's reasonably comfortable, where you feel alert, and where you can minimize movement, where you can be physically still. So it helps to check in, do your arms and legs feel they're in comfortable positions? Notice your back, your posture. And also just notice the general condition of your body. You might feel the contact, especially of your body, sort of the pressure of your body against the chair or whatever you're resting on. And also notice that you're breathing. Notice that that's something specific you can feel in your body. The sensations that happen as you breathe in and then as you breathe out. Especially the movement of your belly or chest or both. So feeling your body, noticing that you're breathing, and noticing also how you're feeling emotionally. And also notice any thoughts that may be on your mind. Thoughts or concerns or plans or worries or whatever that may be floating around or coming and going, or just on your mind, or maybe in the back of your mind. Maybe your mind is jumping around or very active. Whatever it is, just noticing. And then let's come back to the breath for a bit. So focusing on the sensations that you feel through the in-breath and then through the out-breath. One breath after the other, simply feeling it. Breathing in with awareness and breathing out with awareness. And even as you feel your breath, notice if you also have thoughts coming up. If your mind starts going in different directions, or maybe your mind is just sort of scattered or sort of overwhelmed with thoughts. Then leaving the thoughts alone and staying with your breath. And in general, this is the nature of attention itself, is that in general, the more we focus attention on something and really closely monitor the details, pay close attention to all the subtleties, the more of our attention then is taken up by it. And then therefore, the more, everything else just goes in the background, including thoughts. Of course, there are times in life when you notice this, when you focus very closely on something Maybe because something seems really important or special or really catches your attention. And because you're so focused on it, you're not really noticing anything else. But most of the time, there isn't anything that's grabbing our attention that way. So with something kind of more ordinary, like just the feeling of breathing, it's not as easy to have your attention 100% on that. That's why with meditation, we've picked something that we'll focus on and treat it as if it is something new that we've never experienced before, bringing, bringing a real sort of open curiosity to it, and noticing the details. So with your breath, really noticing sensations and how they change while you're breathing in and then while you're breathing out. You might feel movement of your belly or chest. But if you feel your belly or chest moving, notice even specific details. For example, what areas of your belly exactly are moving? Where in your belly do you feel it? Or same thing with your chest. Is there a variation in how it feels from one breath to the next? Notice the speed at which you're breathing, and also the duration of the in-breath compared to the out-breath. Notice if they both last the exact sort of same length of time, or do you find the inhalation is slower or the exhalation is slower? These are all things that we can notice just by paying close attention. And notice how the more you pay close attention to your breath, the more that thoughts and other experiences are kind of in the background. And you may notice at times that you sort of get hooked by thoughts, meaning that, well, just like the image of a fish that bites a hook, you get kind of pulled away into the stream of thinking. See if you can notice the difference between focusing on your breath and letting thoughts be in the background, as opposed to what it feels when you're sort of hooked by your thoughts. So we can use the breath as a kind of anchor, something to hold on to, something to keep coming back to when we wander away. But the best way to do this is to pay really close attention to the breath. If we only give it minimal attention, just enough to know that it's still there, to sort of feel it, we could, if we wanted to, at the same time, be just lost in thoughts. But like any other activity we do, if we do something and give it really our full attention, closely noticing all the details, all the experiences, the more we do that, the more thoughts and other experiences are not so apparent. They're more in the background. Regardless of what we do, where we focus our attention, inevitably thoughts will start coming up. But we can start noticing the difference between sort of observing thoughts and actually being caught up in the thinking. And just like we can focus on the breath or any other area and let thoughts just be in the background, we could do the opposite and focus closely on thoughts, put that in the foreground, the center of attention, but in the same open, curious way that we might observe our breath or anything else, and just try observing thoughts. Just so we can notice the details of the sensations of breathing, or of anything else we pay attention to. We can notice details about thoughts. For example, when thoughts come up, notice if you start having thoughts about the past, or if thoughts come up about future events. You can notice the content of thoughts, whether they feel pleasant or unpleasant, or just neutral. So the aim is not to control thoughts. In other words, the aim is to just let them come and go, without controlling or evaluating, just being curious, noticing, oh, okay, there's a thought, or there's another one. Maybe noticing as well if you start having thoughts about your thoughts. You might notice different kinds of thinking. For example, you might notice thoughts in the form of worrying, planning, remembering, judging, analyzing, predicting. And one option to sort of assist in watching thoughts is to use a visual image. For example, you could imagine that you're just watching a stream of water flow by, like a slow moving river just flowing by. Maybe imagine as if it's in the fall and the leaves are falling off the trees. Imagine that there are a lot of leaves that have fallen in the river and that you're watching the leaves float by. So then, whenever a thought comes up, just picture the thought on a leaf and watch it float by. If the thought is in the form of words, you could just picture the words on a leaf. If it's more of an image, you could picture the image on the leaf. But the idea is not to try to control them, not to hold on to or push away the leaves. Just going to let them float by and watching your thoughts on them. And if at any point you find yourself in the stream, even on a leaf, kind of in other words, carried away in the stream of thoughts, then, well, whenever you realize it's happened, that moment of realizing it means that you've stepped outside the stream again. And then you can go back to just watching it float by, watching their thoughts on the leaves floating in the stream. See what it's like to just observe your thoughts in this way for a little bit. If you like, you could use a different visual image. Another one that some people find useful is imagining a screen, like a television screen or a computer screen, a screen that's blank. And then as you're watching it, whenever a thought pops up, just picture the thought as the words appearing on the screen briefly, perhaps appearing and then fading away. So in this way, you can sort of watch, again, the thoughts coming and going. If you prefer, instead of a visual image, you could also continue to observe thoughts, perhaps using kind of a metaphor. For example, you can imagine that you're noticing thoughts as if you're listening to this radio station that's just broadcasting your thoughts out loud. Or you could imagine that you're driving your life bus and your thoughts are the different passengers that come and go. Just imagine the passenger saying out loud to you, whatever your thoughts are. So you could watch your thoughts in any of these ways, or you don't have to use any of them. You just continue to simply notice thoughts, as mental events, as words or images, or maybe even just sometimes vague ideas or feelings that just come and go in the mind. You might also notice that different emotions come and go that often go along with the thoughts. So if there's pleasant thoughts, there might be emotional states like feeling happiness, joy, excitement. Or with unpleasant thoughts, there might be feelings like nervousness or frustration or sadness. So noticing how both thoughts and emotions come and go and change moment to moment. And at the same time, there's still sensations in your body coming and going, and sounds coming and going, and all kinds of other experiences. So maybe now, for the last few minutes of the meditation, just sitting with kind of an open awareness to all of it: thoughts, feelings, impulses, body sensations, all the different sensory experiences we can have. So just sitting, this kind of open awareness, allowing things to be as they are, sort of laying out the welcome mat. Noticing that if we don't struggle with our thoughts or feelings or other experiences and allow them to come and go, they have less control over us. But perhaps only if we can be aware of them and at the same time just have an open, curious, sort of allowing attitude, letting things be. But even my saying that may trigger some thoughts. And if you notice that you start thinking about what I was just saying, just notice that's again your mind being active, producing thoughts. And perhaps also notice that at any time, a way to sort of get out of your head, not so lost in thoughts, is to focus attention closely on something other than thoughts. So an example of that would be to focus on the breath. Could be anything else, but it's often handy. Since we're always breathing, the breath is always there. All we need to do is come back to it by feeling it. So maybe coming back to it right now, like we did it near the beginning of the meditation, and just feeling the movement of your belly or your chest or both as you breathe in and as you breathe out. Being with whatever you're experiencing until the end of the meditation is signaled by the bell ringing. Even then, be mindful of the sound of the bell and notice reactions and thoughts that may start coming up. Continue to observe your experience, noticing the transition from meditating to coming back to daily life awareness. But see if you can maintain some of this mindfulness, this awareness and observing, well, throughout maybe the rest of your day.